In this video, I'll demonstrate how to add cobie data to our project information model and also how to export that into a spreadsheet. So within the instructions, we can see task 23 asks us to ensure that the required assets have the required cobie data populated on level 0, and then we're instructed to refer to the appendix within the BIM execution plan for further details. So within the BIM execution plan, we'll see at the appendix, we'll see the required assets are in fact windows and doors. And we can also see that this would be required for information exchange 2. And if you look at the timeline within the instructions, we would see that there is a time given for each information exchange. Information exchange 1 could be 10 o'clock, information exchange 2 could be for 11 o'clock. So this information would be required in the model and exported and shared for 11 o'clock. So back into our Revit model. So using the crossing window and filter, check none, let's start with Windows. And up to BIM interoperability tools, if we remember, we already went through assign and we assigned classification to them and we had the set cobie parameters activated. So some of the information will already have been added to the information model, and we went through and chose 25, 30, 95 and we assigned that. So once you've selected all the windows, go into the properties palette and ensure that the cobie parameter is ticked. So we need to do that for windows and for doors. So using filter, select all the doors on level 00, and again instance parameter, let's make sure that cobie is ticked. So we've done that for both elements, windows and doors. We also need to do that for rooms. So we need to pick up all the rooms, again using filter, check none and say rooms. Make sure that the cobie parameter for rooms is ticked. So that's going to give us information from the doors, for example. The door goes from room 1 into room 2, etc. and which room is the window hosted also. Other information we'd also find relevant would be what level might that element be on. So let's select all the levels and again make sure that the cobie parameter is ticked for levels. So all of the elements that we require, windows and doors, but also levels and rooms. Just make sure that the cobie parameter is ticked for that. So BIM interoperability tools. And we've already used import to import the cobie project settings from BIM 360 or the dataset provided. So if I go to select, we can just make sure here that doors and windows are selected, as are levels and rooms. Everything else is greyed out, tells me that's not in the model. Anything else that's white tells me it is in the model but it's not been selected. And then we'll choose ungroup and set parameters under groups, and what that's telling me is if I have any grouped elements, maybe I have furniture that's already grouped, then the data wouldn't be added to the individual elements within that group because it's treated as a group. So while we're looking to add cobie data to our project information model, let's select ungroup and set parameters. So that's populating the cobie data into the model. And if we scroll down just now and look at our schedules, we'll see we have a whole bunch of schedules created but they're currently blank. They don't really have the information within there yet or the data. And back to level 0. So BIM interoperability tools and we can choose update. Now usually I would keep it as update blank parameters only, but if we select all for all in this instance, update all parameters, so any parameters that are currently blank or even have data in them, they'll be overwritten in this instance. And again, let's ungroup any groups that we have and apply and close. So there's all the data coming in, and we can go check that this time. Let's look at those schedules, and we can see some of that data has started to be input into the project information model. So back to level 0, and BIM interoperability tools, and we'll say create spreadsheet. So let's just leave everything ticked and go and browse and name our spreadsheet. Now again, this should be named as per the BEP, as per project requirements, but I'll just call it test and create the spreadsheet. Now we're going to get an error here, facility classification. We've got facility.name has not been set, but we'll just go to open file. We'll come back to that in a little minute, and we can see if we go through some of the tabs. So component, for example, we can see some of the information has been input in there. There's that type, so what door is it? What window is it? What space? So cobie is calling the rooms spaces. So what space is it, for example? Okay, so let's come back to our project information model and fix this error with the cobie.facility.name. So if I click here just in the blank space and say assign, so I haven't selected anything, we're going to assign some facility classification. So we can look under EN, entity. So if you remember the description in the last video, EN is the building. So I want to look at further education college. This is a further education college teaching building, for example. So 251032, assign that and close. And then if I go to manage and project information, we'll see when I assigned the facility information, here's all the information that came in. So we're looking at facility.name, so we could call it teaching building, let's call it New College Lanarkshire, and then cobie facility.site name, Ravenscraig. And you'll notice just now that those are blank and I'm inputting them. So I can then just say project address, and within the BIM execution plan it gives us a postcode. So this little browse button here, ML12TX, and client name. So let's just put mine in there. So I'll just say Michael Maguire, client name. So okay to that. And we can just double check. So remember, all of your elements plus your rooms and the levels should have cobie ticked. So BIM interoperability tools, let's say update. Now again, I'm deliberately choosing update all parameters here, but that means it's going to overwrite, and I'll get that error recurring again about facility.name not being set. So just here, what you want to be looking for is you should be choosing update blank parameters only. So anything that is a blank, if it's already filled in, then it would ignore that. And again, then create spreadsheet. So let's say create spreadsheet. And I get that error, facility.name is not set. So you know how to go and fix that. So we can say close to that, manage, project information, and there you see it's blank. So facility.name is blank because I had all for all set up. Again, teaching building or New College Lanarkshire or something would be fine in here. And we'll say OK to that. So when we choose update, we should just be choosing update just blank parameters only.